Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 29th of November for the Sun or the Ascendant. Now what I'm going to do is give you a broad overview of the major strands that are going to be influencing us all. And then please stay with me, I'll dive deep to give you in forensic detail your zodiac sign forecast. This week begins with a momentous astrological moment. The Sun and Mercury are so tightly together as we see it from Earth that they are in cazimi. This is going to see the power of the Sun magnify the influence of Mercury. Mercury technically is in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius where this event occurs, but I actually really quite like Mercury in Sagittarius. I think it's very thirsty for knowledge, it loves travel, it can be very adventurous, and the Sun and Mercury coming together suggests that we are going to have a greater desire to inform ourselves, but inform ourselves with higher ideals, the bigger picture, philosophy, history, any kind of background research, whether it's into the family tree or a business plan, can really benefit from this combination. Also very good for contractual discussions as well. Now we know that the world environment is challenged severely by COVID. If COVID wasn't there, I think a lot of us would want to inject our existence with some kind of spontaneity and adventurism. But we can still use our minds to achieve that. And Mars in the sign of Scorpio, which it governs, is forging a very compassionate link to Neptune. Now this suggests that we can dive deep in our thinking and the things that we explore, the knowledge that we gain in a very productive way. But also this week, the Sun is going to go on to forge a very stable link with Saturn. Now of course Saturn gets a bad astrological press, but it's very much to do with boundaries, stability, the structures that we're trying to build up that are positive. Of course sometimes Saturn will limit us around the things that aren't working so well. But this is a lovely angle because the Sun in Sagittarius is very much about freedom, and Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, also about freedom, is the ruler of that sign, the co-ruler. So where we're progressive and we're growing our situation and being more pioneering, but we're doing it in a step-by-step, thorough, well-researched way, Saturn supports the Sun in a very constructive manner. Now that brings us to that incredibly powerful total solar eclipse which occurs on Saturday. If you want to watch my deep dive video into this, please see beneath this video. Now this event is broadly going to still be in a sextile with Saturn, but it's also going to forge a quincunx with Uranus. So I think one of the things that we must embrace over the next 6 months, the range of influence of this final Sagittarius Gemini polarity eclipse in the series, before we go more into the Taurus Scorpio season of next year, and we've already had the Taurus lunar eclipse, the first phase of that. I think what we've got to just bear in mind is that the position of the Sun in the 9th house is about going for it. Uranus in the 2nd house is about more being conscious of our resources. So because they're not quite aligning very well, one of the things that we're going to need to work hard on, all of us, over the next half year is using our resources in a more constructive, practical way and not spending money just for the pleasure of it alone. So we're going to be looking to invest in things that have some kind of ongoing practical credential rather than living in the moment quite so much. So I think all of this is asking us to become much more mindful of our resources. But please stay with me for your in-depth forecast. But if you are new to my channel, I would be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily horoscope, written horoscope, fired to your device each morning, please see the link beneath this video. And if you'd like to get your personal forecast for next year, you can do so now and get the rest of this year free, plus a character analysis plus 30% off. Also, please see the link below. Hello Sagittarius, and welcome to your in-depth forecast for week commencing the 29th of November. I've been really gearing myself up to tell you about this forecast. The Sun in your sign links with Mercury on the first day of this week. So exactly, it's known as cazimi. So as we view it from the Earth, the disk of Mercury is right at the heart of the Sun. Mercury is about how we think, how we express things, our intellect. Communications in general can be about how we organise travel and also distribution. Now your sign is very much to do with enthusiasm, so having the Sun conjoining Mercury in this location is really going to give you a great big gush of excitement. If you can bring into your life new possibilities, new strands, originate things, get things off the ground, it really is going to perk you up. Then again, ongoing strands that are important to you can benefit from a rethink in some ways. That's not to say you should change the whole thing, but perhaps add your special enthusiasm at this time to give that situation an added boost. But also the Sun is forging a very constructive link to Saturn. Saturn gets a bad astral press. It's in your sector of everyday communications, relationships with siblings, relationships with cars or motorcycles or e-scooters. Saturn can be limiting, but it also helps us to think in this location very carefully about our ideas and how we express them. So your individual creativity is very high with the Sun and Mercury, and then Saturn can help you to deliver the message in a very succinct way, which means that people will know that what you say really is what you mean this week. Now it is true that Mars is still just going through your 12th solar house, which can be quite complex, so there may still be some very deeply held emotions from past situations that you're just working your way through, but Mars forges a very gentle link to the planet of dreams, Neptune, in your sector of emotions. So if there is something to do with your past that perhaps has been more difficult or challenging or even haunting, this can be a great time to give yourself permission to process it. And perhaps you can look at an old problem in a fresh way with all this first house energy. Which brings us to that total solar eclipse in your sign. This is incredibly important because it's the last in a series that have gone between the sign of Sagittarius and the sign of Gemini, which is your polar opposite, over the last few years. This is going to last for the next 6 months, but we're now moving into, we have already, the Taurus-Scorpio axis, and that began with the Taurus lunar eclipse, which occurred a couple of weeks ago. So now this opportunity to really spark whatever is individual to you is a one-off chance over the next 6 months to really make traction forwards, to propel yourself forwards with gusto. So what's not to like? Well, it's just that Uranus, the planet of freedom and truth, is in your sector of service and commitments. So you may have to toggle what you want to do for yourself and what you kind of have to do for others over this next 6 months period. But I do think it can be very exciting for you. A great way to enter year 2022.